to this webinar. I just turn on my camera to say hello. I will turn it off for the rest of the meeting to get more optimal bandwidth. So again, thank you for being with us. So today we'll take you through an overview of national reporting under the Basel Convention and a new tool that we have developed called the Reporting Dashboard. This webinar is really meant for new focal points for the Basel Convention, and it's meant to give you an overview of what reporting is about and how to submit the national report. We will not have time to go into details through all the aspects of national reporting, and for that, I will leave you at the end of the webinar with a number of key resources for you to look at, and also with my contact details so that you can send me an email on any questions that you may have. Regarding questions, I will first go through the presentations and then we will have a questions and answer session at the end. So first, let's talk about why you need to report. Simply put, this is a requirement of the convention, something that your country has committed to upon becoming a party to the Basel Convention. And the information to be provided is specified in Article 13, and also various COP decisions, COP being the Conference of the Parties to the Basel Convention. And the convention also says that it is the responsibility of the focal point for the Basel Convention to submit the report. The performance of parties in reporting is something that's reviewed on an annual basis by the Implementation and Compliance Committee with a view of assisting those countries that have difficulties in submitting a national report. So some of you may have been contacted in that regard by my colleague who supports the Compliance Committee. But beyond being an obligation, the information you provide in national reports is actually quite important. It is a way to provide information to support the prior informed consent procedures that is at the heart of the Basel Convention. So you share this information with the Secretariat, and the Secretariat makes it public so that other countries can easily have access to that information. Also, the data provided supports the Conference of the Parties and its subsidiary bodies in decision making. I've shown here two examples, which is the strategic framework for the implementation of the Basel Convention, which is under review for year 2012 to 2021, and that process relied heavily on national reporting data. There's also an ongoing process on the review of annexes to look at updating the annexes to the Basel Convention, and the expert group used national reporting data to understand how the codes of Annex 4 are used for the PIC procedure. And one important point is that the reporting performance contributes to the indicators that are used for monitoring achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 12. So this is to say that there are many ways in which this data that you provide in your national report is useful. It's not just about fulfilling an obligation, it's about sharing information. Let's turn now to what you need to report. As mentioned, this is specified in the convention and through various COP decisions. And there's been an expert group that has crystallized all this information in a national reporting format. The last version was adopted by the Conference of the Parties in 2016 and updated since then through various decisions. The questions in the format that are non-mandatory are marked as optional. The convention also says that by the end of each calendar year, each party has to submit a report on the previous calendar year. What this means is that for 2020, for the report for 2020, the deadline for reporting is the end of December 2021. Here are some highlights of the reporting questionnaire. You have 7 questions and 9 tables. Question 1 to 4 and table 1 to 2 cover mostly these elements of information that are important for the PIC procedure. And so these are usually not information that change on the regular basis, right? It relates to definitions of national definitions of hazardous waste, for example, and disposal facilities in the national jurisdiction. And all these information are rather fixed. Of course, countries sometimes update their national legislation, but it's not something that changes every year. So to make it easier for parties in filling out the question, these questions are pre-filled from the latest available information, usually from the latest questionnaire. Okay. You then have information that is provided on an annual basis. And this relates mostly to the shipments of hazardous waste and other waste. For example, on imports in Table 5 and on disposals that did not proceed as intended in Table 7. So again, this information has to provide every year because the shipments happen every year. I did not go into much detail about the contents of the national report. And as I said, we'll leave you with some material that you can look at if you want to find out about these questions and what information to be provided in more detail. So now we'll turn to how do you submit the national report? In fact, to fill out the report and to submit it, you have to use the electronic reporting system. And in this system, we've transposed the format that I have just outlined, we've transposed that into an online questionnaire. That makes it easy for the focal point to complete and to submit online. It should be noted that once you have completed and submitted the national report, it is no longer accessible for change because some focal points have these questions. They submit the report and then they realize, for example, that they may have forgotten something and they go back to the system and they want to access it again. That's not possible, but you can contact us and we will find a way to help you because we have, of course, administrative access to this system. After you submit the report, what happens to it? So the Secretariat does quality control, but mostly on Table 4 and Table 5 data, which is important, as I will explain later, to have this information entered into the National Reporting Database. And here's the link for you to access the electronic reporting system and the national report. So at the bottom of this page, you will have a link to the reporting questionnaire for each year for your respective countries. So it's not just for the next year, or for the current year, but also for all the prior years. So if you would like to submit the report for previous years, you may also do that. Here's the page showing the access page to the questionnaire. And this is secured by with some credentials that are sent to the focal point every year. And you will also see there access to an account recovery functionality for you to be able to obtain these credentials again in case you have lost them. Now let's go through a quick tour of the electronic reporting system format itself. So when you access this questionnaire, you will see on the left side of the page a menu bar that allows you to navigate through the questionnaire. And this remains constant throughout all the pages. And so you can click on each page to go to different parts. You can also navigate from one page to the other by using the top menu bar. And so you go next page, next page. And on this page, you will also have a functionality that allows you to download your questionnaire at any time. So for example, you may want to consult with other authorities on the questionnaire before submitting. And so you then have access to the questionnaire in Word format to be able to do that. Okay. Yes. So you importantly, of course, is the main page, main area of each page where you fill out the information to answer each one of the question in the questionnaire. Here are some snapshots of some of the questions. And this is just to show you what I've mentioned earlier, that under each question, you will have the articles and the COP decisions that underpins each one of these questions. And in case a question is not mandatory, it's marked as optional. To fill out the questionnaire, there are various types of questions. You have the ones that are multiple choice with conditionality. So after you answer in the positive, you will have other question unroll, and you may, for example, be asked to provide the information as free text, or you can upload a file as is more convenient for you. I'll spend some time here on tables 4 and 5, where many countries have a lot of quantitative data to provide. So to do that, you can use two options. The first is to do line-by-line entry. So when you click on the option A, add record line with export details, you will have a pop-up box where you have drop-down menus for each of the fields indicated in table 4. So a field for you to enter, whether it's a code from Annex 8 or 2, and the amounts in metric tons and so forth. So this is convenient if you don't have too many shipments and you prefer to do it like that. If you have many records, then you have the option to upload the data and import it into the database. And here I'd like to emphasize that this is essentially what this is happening. So you upload the file into the system, but then you also import it into the national reporting database. After you do that, the data will appear in the national report on the website, but also the data is then available in the database so that it's accessible for the types of analysis that I have mentioned earlier. And here, in case you have trouble, you can also provide the file, and the Secretariat will contact you later to help you import this information. What's important for successful import is that you use the template that is available in the ERS, the Excel template. If you use any other template, you will see an error message. Also, it's very important to use the validation rules, because this is an IT system, like your electronic banking system, right? You can only import the information when it's in a specific format. You can't use just any type of format. And only certain types of data is accepted. So all this is specified and explained in the validation rules. Now, something else I'd like to highlight, because it's a source of confusion for some parties, is that under tables 7, 8, and 9, we also provide a template for uploading the data. You have line by line option, the option to enter the data line by line, but you can also provide an Excel file. And we've provided the Excel template so that it's easier for the analysis of the information. For example, under the Implementation and Compliance Committee, recently, there was an analysis of data on illegal traffic, and having the data provided by every country in the same format facilitates that analysis. But what's important to note is that this data cannot be imported into a database. This is not a feature we have developed yet. So you will have the file showing in your national report, but you won't see that data appear. And this is an important distinction between the table 7 to 9 and table 4 to 5. Oh, and before I forget, as I've mentioned earlier, some of the questions and tables are pre-filled with information that were provided in previous years. Of course, it's essential for you to verify this information before you submit the report in case there's been any change in the interim. Some more useful features that can help you in filling out the questionnaire is the check for error button in the top menu bar. So you can use that as any time to identify questions that might be incomplete or invalid. And here I'd like to emphasize that it's really been included to help you identify those missing questions, but it will not prevent you. The alerts that will appear will not prevent you from submitting a report. And I'm saying this because we were contacted every year by parties about these alerts. So when they reach the last page of the questionnaire, again, before you when you click on submit the national report, these alerts will appear. And this is just a last reminder to tell you, there are some parts of the questionnaire that are empty, that may be incomplete, so you may wish to take a look. After that, after you've done that, you press again submit the national report, and the questionnaire should be submitted. The alerts won't prevent you from doing that. Some countries have had trouble at this last stage, and so if that happens to you, please do not hesitate to contact us, and we'll find a way to make this happen. So that was just a quick tour of the electronic reporting system. And again, if you have any trouble using it, we are here to help. Now, I will turn to the reporting dashboard of the Basel Convention, which is a new tool that we have developed. And while I'm here, I'll also highlight that we have done something similar for the Stockholm Convention, developed a similar tool, and we will have webinar in the future dedicated to the Stockholm Convention dashboard. But what you see now for the Basel Convention, you will also have something accessible for the Stockholm Convention. Why a reporting dashboard? As I've mentioned earlier, there are many types of analysis that can be done on the national reporting data. And until recently, the reports for each country was available individually for each year. If you go to the national reporting page, this is what you will see. For each country, you will have a report. And in case you wanted to do analysis across years or across countries, it meant you had to extract the data individually from each report and then collate that yourself. So what we've done is we've put this into a database. Well, we created an interface that allows you to visualize this data in aggregated format. And all this relies on this reporting database, which I've been mentioning throughout the webinar. A disclaimer here, and this is very important, of course, because this is reporting data from parties, is that the dashboard shows the information as received. We don't change it, we don't edit it, it's directly sourced from the national reports. And the dashboard follows the format of the reporting questionnaire. So you will have now all the question on the left bar menu that you can access. And also in the introduction, it explains to you how these questions relate to the different parts of the reporting questionnaire. This tool is still in the development, and so far we have the questions that can be queried for question 1 to 3 and tables 4 and 5 only. And we're working on the other questions and tables of the questionnaire. Okay. This is just a snapshot of what this tool can help you look at. So we're looking here at this a question called status of submission, which is not really a question, but it shows you what the number of reports and the time at which these reports have been submitted for each country, each party to the convention. And this is typical for each of the questions. At the top, you will have a series of filters that allow you to visualize the data differently. So you can filter by regions, you can look at specific countries, you can look at different time range, and also you have different views, either a table or a chart in this case. And you can see here also that when you have a table, you can export that data to Excel. So sometimes some countries, they ask us, the focal point has changed and we would like a record of the latest reports that have been submitted. And now they can easily go to this tool and have that information in one click. And here is showing you the graphic output of this same question. It's for the Asian Pacific region. There's a bar chart here because we selected chart, and you can see it shows you the country reporting rate and what percentage submitted on time or late. So there's different ways we try to build different features in the visualization aspect of this tool. Another example, this is question 2A, which is there a national definition of waste used for the purpose of transboundary movement? And this is how this is transposed. Number of parties using a national definition. I wanted to highlight through this one that there is a link to other parts of the website where these national definitions are available. Again, you can see at the top of the page, you have the various filters, and this allows you to visualize data either as a bar chart or a pie chart, and you can then download these in various format. Here is what you see as the table output of this question. So again, you may want to know for this region, what are the various national definitions. So rather than going to each country, downloading each report, and you can see it all in one go using this tool. I come back to table 4, which I had explained in the previous section of the webinar. And here we provided two views for this type of quantitative data, of which there is a lot. And if the data is available, has been imported in the reporting database, then it will be accessible through this tool. And you can look at the overview, which means totals of imports for each country. And again, filter by region or by year. And you can visualize it either. Yeah, you can visualize them in various ways, for pie chart, line chart. Also, you have these heat maps in a world view to understand showing which country import more or less. Now, sometimes though, it's interesting to look at the data in detail. And here we have this filter, this query with a detailed view, where you can filter according to all the various headers of the table 4. For example, you can filter by codes of Annex 3 or Annex 2, well, Annex 8, or Annex 1. And this could be interesting also. As I mentioned, this tool is still in the development. We are refining the existing queries and we're adding new ones. So if you have any feedback, please don't hesitate to send them to us. And this brings me to the end of the webinar. I'm leaving you with some resources for you to look at in more detail. Here you can, the links for you to look at the individual reports and the link to the reporting dashboard. You have information on the reporting formats and its updates. And importantly, there's a manual for completing the national report. And this is available in all languages of the UN, because the format itself, the questionnaire itself in the ERS is only available in English, but using this format, you can see the correspondence from the various languages. Okay. And then various resources developed in part by the Implementation and Compliance Committee. And all these are available from the publications page of the Basel Convention website. And lastly, a reminder that the report for 2020 is due by the end of this year. And if you have any questions whatsoever, just drop me a line at this email address. Thank you very much.